What if America's post-war boom had a different leader? What if the Cold War, civil rights, and even our highways looked totally different? Today, we dive into an alternate history where Adlai Stevenson defeats Dwight D. Eisenhower in 1952. Would the United States be a more progressive nation or a more vulnerable one? Let's find out. Like and subscribe for more. Also, don't forget to hit that notification bell for more history documentaries. Please watch the video till the end, as good interaction would help the performance of the video and the growth of my channel massively. How did Stevenson win in 1952? To imagine a Stevenson victory, we need a major shift in the political winds of 1952. Eisenhower, a war hero, was immensely popular. But in this timeline, three key things change. 1. General Douglas MacArthur runs as an independent, splintering the right-wing vote. 2. The Korean War ends in a truce by October 1952, undercutting Eisenhower's campaign promise to personally go to Korea. 3. President Truman's popularity stabilizes, especially after a last-minute surge in Democratic voter turnout in key northern states like Illinois, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. With a fractured Republican vote and energized Democrats, Adlai Stevenson narrowly wins the Electoral College. Public reaction and political landscape. Northern liberals, urban centers, and educated liberals in the North celebrate a return to intellectualism and global diplomacy. Stevenson, known for his eloquence and progressive ideas, is hailed as a thinking man's president. The South and Bible Belt. Southern Democrats are uneasy. Stevenson is less willing than Truman to tolerate segregationist politicians. This sets the stage for future Democratic Party fractures and the rise of the Dixiecrat movement in the late 1950s. Harry Truman's response. Truman gives a gracious concession speech and supports Stevenson's vision, but privately warns that he must appear strong on communism or risk losing public trust. The Stevenson Presidency, 1953-1957. Cabinet and Administration. Stevenson builds a cabinet of liberal internationalists and progressive economists. Key appointments include Secretary of State, Dean Acheson, Secretary of Defense, Paul Nitze, Attorney General, Herbert Brownell Jr. Domestic Policy. Stevenson emphasizes civil service reform, investment in education, and health care expansion. He pushes for early federal aid to education and speaks out for racial equality, but avoids direct confrontation with Southern segregationists at first. The Korean War, a different ending. Unlike Eisenhower, Stevenson avoids a dramatic trip to Korea. Instead, he empowers the UN to broker peace with subtle diplomacy and pressure on South Korea. An armistice is signed in April 1953, 2 months later than Eisenhower's timeline. He earns praise for ending the war without threats or escalation, but critics claim he conceded too much to China and North Korea. Foreign policy. Cold War without the muscle. Vietnam. Stevenson, skeptical of colonialism, refuses to support the French at Dien Bien Phu in 1954. No covert aid. No early CIA intervention. Vietnam is divided at Geneva, but with less American involvement. This delays U.S. military escalation, but emboldens anti-communist hawks back home. Hungarian uprising. Like Eisenhower, Stevenson chooses not to intervene militarily when the Soviets crush the uprising. But he gives a more emotional, morally charged UN speech condemning Soviet brutality, earning him international respect, but little change on the ground. Suez Crisis. Stevenson, a firm believer in the UN, quickly pressures Britain, France, and Israel to withdraw from Egypt. His stance mirrors Eisenhower's neutrality, but with more emphasis on international law and diplomacy. The Cold War. No Eisenhower Doctrine. Without a military background, Stevenson avoids issuing a hardline policy like the Eisenhower Doctrine. Instead, he proposes the Freedom Through Development Plan, offering foreign aid and technical assistance to nations at risk of falling to communism. Critics call it too soft. Allies praise its idealism. The U-2 affair? Not likely. Stevenson, wary of covert operations, scales back aggressive CIA missions. There is no U-2 spy plane incident in 1960, possibly avoiding a major diplomatic disaster with the USSR. No interstate highway system? Not quite. Stevenson supports a scaled-down version of the interstate highway system, but frames it around economic development and public works, not defense. Congress funds it in 1956, but the build-out is slower and less standardized. Suburban growth still booms, but traffic bottlenecks and funding issues slow progress. The economy, more regulated, still booming. Under Stevenson, the post-war economic boom continues, though with slightly more federal oversight and modest tax reforms. He avoids Eisenhower's corporate-friendly approach, supporting unions and expanding public housing. Business leaders complain of bureaucratic red tape, but the economy grows steadily, if not as explosively. Civil rights, a quieter revolution. Brown versus Board of Education. Stevenson publicly supports the ruling and encourages compliance. Unlike Eisenhower, he uses the Justice Department to pursue desegregation, but avoids sending federal troops unless absolutely necessary. Little Rock. Instead of deploying the 101st Airborne, Stevenson uses the National Guard under federal control with local coordination. It works, but barely. Critics say he was too cautious. Supporters say he prevented violent escalation. Civil rights legislation. Stevenson pushes for modest civil rights legislation in 1956, but Southern Democrats filibuster. A watered-down bill passes, less ambitious than the Civil Rights Act of 1957 under Eisenhower, but still a stepping stone. Election of 1956, Stevenson versus Nixon. Last vice presidential candidate Richard Nixon emerges as the Republican nominee. He campaigns hard on Stevenson's softness, on communism, and vague economic plans. Stevenson wins re-election narrowly by emphasizing peace, prosperity, and progress. The African American vote increases for Democrats, while rural white voters start shifting Republican. Legacy and long-term impact. The Vietnam War is likely delayed or significantly altered. The civil rights movement progresses slightly faster at the federal level, though still faces resistance. America's infrastructure is less developed by the 1960s. U.S.-Soviet relations remain tense, but without some of Eisenhower's aggressive brinkmanship. The Democratic Party remains dominant through the 1950s, but internal divisions widen. Stevenson is remembered as a thoughtful, principled, but sometimes overly cautious leader. He reshapes the Democratic Party toward liberal internationalism and civil rights, laying groundwork for the new frontier under JFK. What do you think? Would America have thrived under a Stevenson presidency or fallen behind in a Cold War world? Write your opinion and version of the story in the comments below. Please be polite and kind. If you want to know what would have happened if Hughes defeated Wilson in 1916, click on the video on the left. Thanks for watching.